JT's been hurt, and there's no reason to pull Stetson Bennet. He's been playing well enough. Auburn stops on 4th and 7. They don't let him drive 98 yards. They had plenty of time. I think they had plenty of time. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know if that'd be the... Oh, that's just your pick. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Is that a catch? Holy cow, touchdown Oklahoma. 24-24 going into the half. Fool if you pull Bennett out of the line. I mean, Stetson Bennett, it isn't like last year where he clearly struggled against some good teams and JT came in and just lit the world on fire. Stetson's been really steady. And what message is Kirby going to send to his team if he's... What kind of message is Kirby setting for his team if he's pulling a quarterback because even though he's not playing bad at all? They absolutely did. They should have gone for 2 when they scored in overtime. Yep, poor clock management. Ugh, gonna have to talk to Mark about that one, not me. This game is a lot of fun. I'm not writing you off. I'm just kind of agreeing with the comments because anytime you have the best coach in college football history, and okay, fine, here, I'll make a case for Alabama. Anytime you have the best coach in college football history, you have the talent Alabama has, especially defensively, with Will Anderson, who I love Will Anderson. When you have the talent they do defensively and offensively, there is a chance anything can happen in for 60 minutes when you have the talent that Alabama has and the head coach that Alabama has. Now, on the flip side, we've had 13 weeks of watching these two teams play, and Alabama, off the offensive line for Alabama and the run game. The run game struggled not just against Auburn or against whoever. They struggled against Mercer in the run game. And Bryce Young's going to have to make some plays. And he's going to make a lot of them because Georgia's going to put up, I think we can safely say in today's college football, Georgia's probably going to put up, at least 20 points? 20, 24 points? Can Bryce Young score 27? Can he get a cheap shot against Jameson Williams down the field? Can they maybe get a defensive touchdown? It's going to be a very difficult game. But I know I've been saying like Georgia's going to win next week, but I don't think that I've completely written Alabama off because of the coach and because of the talent, even though the talent has underperformed a ton this year. No clue. People have talked about pods. People have talked about reshuffling divisions. I just don't know what they would do. They're playing Oklahoma. We've talked about this Bedlam game. The joke that I like to tell, and I don't remember who I from. Maybe it was Roger Sherman on Twitter. There are 2 outcomes of Bedlam. OU by a lot, OU by a little. No matter how good Oklahoma State is, they always lose to Oklahoma. With the exception being 2011, which was the best Oklahoma State team ever. And I think it was 2014, Tyreek Hill returned a punt for a touchdown to win the game. Other than that, since Mike Gundy's been there, since 2005, it's been OU by a lot, OU by a little. Depends what you do. If you do the pod system and then you do still 9 games. So if Georgia loses to Alabama with the top 4, I think Georgia's still the number 1 seed. Unless it's a butt kicking. I think they still probably are the number 1 seed because I just think they are. Unless maybe Michigan though, but it's going to be. I think it'll be Georgia. Man, oh God, if Alabama wins, okay. And that opinion I do kind of agree with. But I think it would be. Okay, so I said Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Cincy. I think would be your top 4. I think that would be your top 4. No. I had Cincy as the 4 in this in this certain hypothetical where Alabama wins next week. They'd be the 4, if not out. No, they would play each team once, and then you would play 5 games or 6 games. They would probably do it like an NFL style, where the NFL you play, but because they would only do, and they'd really probably have to go to 9 games. But if they were to stay at 8 games, you play the other 3 teams in your division, so you have 3 games. You play the team that finished in the same spot you did in each division. So you play. So if you finish in 3rd place, you play the 3rd place team in the one division, 3rd place team in another division, 3rd place team in the other division, and then you completely play a different division. If I hope that made sense. You'd play your own division, you'd play another division, and you'd play the 2 teams in the divisions you didn't play that finish in the same spot. So like if you were 1st place, you'd play the 2 first place teams. I don't think they do that because that would lead to some really uneven schedules. Because then if like Alabama wins their division and Georgia's in a different division, they'll be playing Georgia, and they'll be playing, Oklahoma. And so, yeah, but if the SEC is going to 16 games, you're not playing 15 games. What I don't like about the Big 12 is their conference championship game. Because I think it's silly that no matter what, you have to beat a team twice. He should, because no quarterback's running away with it, and he's been incredible. He should. Him and Jordan Davis should have options. And there's some running backs out there that aren't getting enough love either. But they're not playing on great teams. Like Tyler Beatty. He's having an incredible season, but he's on a pretty bad team. So he won't get love. Kenneth Walker will get some love. So, Bryce Young can clinch it with a great performance next week, but Will Anderson. No. I was talking about in a what I don't like about the Big 12. But if you're talking about for a national championship, potentially, they would have to beat Georgia twice. I was talking to Mr. Bays here about how he likes how they do their conference, and I like that too. The only thing I don't like about it is you have to beat a team twice. Like if OU wins tonight, they have to beat Oklahoma State again, which I think is dumb. Oof. You know what? I'm sorry about that. That is tough. But hey, you know what? I don't think you probably didn't go to the game expecting a good game today. So, and it's cost them championship appearances. Not having a title game cost them a chance at the playoff in 2014. Because if Baylor or TCU get a chance to play in a Big 12 championship, they get in over Ohio State. Now, the committee was proven right putting Ohio State in because they ended up winning a national championship. But if TCU or Baylor gets to play a Big 12 title game, they win the national title in 2014. So, I don't know. They were extremely wounded today. TJ Finley, I was shocked he was still out there. So one of my friends tweeted out, like, who does Auburn have for a backup? And I had to tell him, well, this is their backup. Who their 3rd string? And I Googled it, and I can't remember the guy's name. And he was the quarterback at Bowling Green State. Last year he was there, was 2019. He threw 6 touchdowns, 11 picks. Yeah, and that's what I would do for the SEC. But then you're leading to some really unbalanced divisions because there's not the same parity in college football, but there isn't. And usually none, because for the last, half decade, it's been OU, and they've been so much better than everybody. It's not like this year, where this year, again, Oklahoma wins tonight. They would still have a shot at the playoff. I think we can all agree with that. They would still have a shot. But then they got to beat a pretty good Okie State team again, which is tough to do. Ask 2011 LSU. And that was them not having a championship game that cost them. Having a championship game hasn't cost them yet, because it's been like OU, TCU. Last year, neither team, it was Oklahoma, Iowa State, neither team was going to make it. Oklahoma, Texas. the Kyler year. Texas was good, but they weren't quite at that level yet, and they're not still. You're an wait, blew it in the World Series. Oh, the College World Series. Duh, I'm dumb. How much more battery do I have on my laptop? I still got a lot. 2013, 2019, World Series. Yeah, that's tough. And then you could also argue Baylor got snubbed because Baylor beat Ole Miss or beat TCU. But yeah, I would agree that year TCU was probably the ultimate snub. However, they were proven right because Ohio State won a championship. Well, it doesn't, but because the Big 12 has been kind of mediocre for so long. I just don't like that format. I don't like that you automatically have to beat a tweet twice. That's basically what I'm saying. I just don't think it's, and sometimes you have to. Georgia and Auburn in 2017, for instance, Georgia had to beat Auburn, or Auburn had to beat Georgia twice, and they did. They beat them at home, and then they played in the SEC title game. And I'm sorry, what's our Auburn friend's name? Rand Stokes. I'm sorry, and then they beat him. So I think it's just goofy, but and again with 16 teams, that's not going to happen. Would Dabo coach in the NFL? Well, he said he was going to if college players ever got paid. So, I mean, hopefully. I'm kidding. No, probably not. I don't think Dabo. What the thing with NFL coaches is you have to be willing to not be the star of your team. Everyone likes Sean McVay. He's not the star of the Rams. Pete Carroll was never the star of the Seahawks. Bill Belichick was a huge proponent of the Patriots, but Tom Brady was the star. Dabo likes being in the spotlight. That's why he runs in front of his team when they do the cool entrance down the hill in Death Valley, the other Death Valley with a lowercase d and a lowercase v. He loves him and PJ Fleck really love being the center of attention. I don't think that would work in the NFL. Dabo only leaving for Bama. Now I've had that. That's a conversation everybody's had. It's kind of like when Mike Krzyzewski leaves Duke, who was going to take the job. And I remember in like 2012, it was going to be Shaka Smart, and then it was like, oh, it's going to be Brad Stevens, and then who knows now? Oh, it's going to be John Shire. But the name, it's like who is going to replace Saban? I don't know. Cristobal? I mean, he's pretty good at it. So, I mean, it was Gurley for so long. It was Gurley. And then they kind of became kind of that forgotten team that was really good, but they weren't ever a championship contender. So I guess then it was McVay, but this year it's Stafford. And no, it's been Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was the star of that team because he's going to go down as the top, 5 defensive player of all time? He's nuts. Why have conference championships if a team already has gone in without it? Oh, yeah, money. I mean, yeah. Agree. He's a culture guy. I think he would do – I think he's a really good college coach. And for a guy that was a wide receivers coach and they were like, hey, you're going to be our new coach, he's done a remarkable job. As much as I don't like him. Jerry is the star of the Cowboys, and that's why they suck and have stunk for a while. Did I say Jared Goff? I didn't say Jared Goff, did I? If I did, oh my goodness gracious. I thought I said Gurley and then Aaron Donald. Please tell me I didn't say Jared Goff. Well, Saban came from the NFL. Dabo was a wide receivers coach. Ryan Day was a coordinator. Brian Kelly came from Cincy. I don't know. I mean, they can come from all over the place. Oh, thank God. Jared Goff's like 0-16 without McVay. So That might be a big issue why. It hasn't stopped him the last couple years. No. Well, maybe. My money would be on Mario Cristobal. That would be my bet. My bet would be, I see someone else say dabbling. My bet would be Mario Cristobal. Because the dude can recruit Power 5 to Power 5. And I was just going through because Brian Kelly came from Cincy, but of course that's not Power 5. Ryan Day coordinator, Harbaugh NFL, Saban NFL. Because I'm assuming that doesn't count because Saban was at, of course, LSU, but he came from the NFL, so that doesn't count. Brian Kelly from Cincy. He's a great recruiter. I don't think he's a great in-game coach. Because he did a great job. Why leave someplace you're really comfortable and having a lot of success, like he was at Stanford for so long through the McCaffrey era, and now it's just he doesn't play smart football. The football he plays is boring. It's not attractive, and they haven't had a lot of success in a few years. They had no offense because TJ Finley was hobbled and they couldn't run the ball. With a minute 47-ish left, Tank Bigsby ran out of bounds on second down. So Alabama got to save their last timeout for a third down stop, which they stuffed Tank for I think like -4 yards. So they had no timeout. So there should have been 40 seconds left, less. There should have been a minute left. They got the ball instead with a minute 40 left and drove down the field and scored. Go to overtime. Drove the ball 98 yards down the field. Go to overtime. Alabama scores a touchdown. Auburn scores a touchdown. Should have gone for 2 because you weren't going to trade scores with Alabama. And then they just lost. They didn't have the offense to do anything today.